is... What a week.
What a week. PoliTricks.
It's another week of chop and change in SA politics, some getting the chop and maybe even changing. To help us make some headway through the woods, we've got our political ranger, our Chuck Norris of PoliTricks. Please welcome back Botsang Modimowame Moiloa. Botsang, welcome back, dog.
Thank you very much, Fresh, and good morning to the viewers. Wow, Chuck Norris.
Yes.
That's Steven Seagal.
You're the king of the Mai Gary and the Mawasha Gary. And people don't know that you're a black belt.
Well, they will know soon.
Quickly, let's talk about you in martial arts. You're a martial artist.
Yeah, well, it's a long story. We'll talk about it when we do my second episode. But yeah, I grew up in a karate class, first and black belt in Shotokan. And I was mentored by Sensei Vusmavuso.
Sure.
Now,
so with your tight pants, can you still do roundhouse kick?
Not try me. I'll show you place.
So it is Youth Month. It is Youth Week. We're commemorating the youth of June 16, 1976. And majority of youth will tell you that for them, there's nothing to celebrate because the revolution right now is we need jobs, we need employment. And the irony is President Ramaphosa is at the ILO right now. Let's talk about that whole picture.
Sad state of affairs, Fresh. When you look at what the youth of 76 were fighting for, self-determination of black children, not only in education, for us to be able to liberate the country and create a better, country for the future generation. It is now from 1976 to now, almost 40 years running into that whole process where actually it's more than 40 years. It's almost 50 years. It's going to 50 years. And the youth are highly unemployed in the country. The highest volume of unemployment in South Africa, it's youth who are qualified. And as you said, ironically, we are sitting in a situation whereby the head of state on Thursday, he was addressing the International Labour Organization and talking very good things about employment in the developing country and so forth, while his own country is faced with a bleak future for the youth. And it's a sad state of affairs. The GDP growth could be minimal, but you look at unemployment, it's rising every year in the country. And we need to address this, especially by stimulating employment of youth in South Africa.
How do we do that, though, at a practical level?
Look, the ANC has tabled quite a number of papers on stimulation, but in every economy, the biggest stimulant of employment, it's government employment. And not to say the government must employ people. The government stimulates the economy in production, manufacturing, small businesses in order to give people opportunity. But with corruption and with the cost of living in South Africa, the growing population without the growing economy, its contrast, it has been very difficult to do that. We've got good policies that are not being implemented. And we can start by investing in small businesses. We can start by stimulating the economy through small businesses instead of focusing on the big industrialists. Recently, the presidency boasted with the target for foreign direct investment was exceeded, trillions. We talk of 2.3 trillions, but we don't see the benefit and where those trillions are going into. And that's where the problem is. We have neglected the tourism sector as well as the agricultural sector in the country. That could have, we focused on manufacturing, but most South Africans consume finished products that are imported.
Sure.
So manufacturing, a lot of mining, it's underpaying, and normally it's not youth that are employed in the mines, even those with qualifications. So I think it's a challenge we are faced with.
And, you speak of how the agricultural sector could be one of the gateways in terms of creating employment for youth. And I'm not for a minute saying let's go back to a Group Areas Act. But surely there's also merit in incentivizing people not to leave their villages to come to the city by incentivizing them to stay in your village and create an economy there. Incentivizing people to say, we'll give you the seeds and we will maybe hire local tractor owners that if you've got a piece of land, we will make sure that land can be farmed so you can be a subsistence farmer, and with the extra, you can maybe make a bit of money. But instead, everyone is coming to the city. Everyone is coming to the city.
Urbanization is out of fashion.
Sure.
It has proven, this country is one of the countries that has proved that urbanization and people, urban migration, people moving into the cities, does not grow the economy. We are a typical example of that. And when I spoke earlier on stimulating the economy, we are making a classical example to say we can focus on agriculture, whereby the community in a rural area or non-urban areas can stimulate the economy. They can feed themselves if given a fair opportunity.
Absolutely.
The land question will always come into effect to say, we don't have the land to do that. But even in providing people land, if you provide them land without capital, you mentioned the issue of the tractor, the seeds and so forth, that's where the government can come in. Forward sustainable farming, small business farming, but also don't give people seeds and land and assist them with tractors. I've seen it happening in Mpumalanga, and you leave them there.
Sure.
The government must be the consumer of whatever those communities will produce. Let me make a typical example. Barberton Prison in Mpumalanga is one of the biggest prisons we have in the country. Imagine if the 4 communities around the Barberton Prison were farming and producing food that the state will purchase from those farmers in order to feed the prisoners, instead of buying from big supermarkets. We can say the same with the Boksburg prison.
Create a value chain.
Create a value
where
chain.
Everyone benefits.
The end product of the people you have aided to can arrive, or SMMEs you have to can arrive at the final product. Let the state be the consumer. And I'm not talking about the state, giving friends tenders and so forth. The state has meetings. They eat in these meetings. They host people. People are eating. Why are we still buying from the chain shops when the youth can be said to be going to produce food that is going to be consumed by the government officials as well as prisoners, hospitals, and so forth? Why doesn't the state fund youth to can feed people in hospitals? Forget prisoners. Well, we know that prisoners have rights now. They must eat 3 fruits or vegetables per day. Why those fruits and vegetables
nice in there,
do not come? It is very nice to be in prison for nutritional purposes.
You can even run a company from there.
Yeah, well, we know in this country everything is possible being a prisoner.
Now, sadly, former Minister Tina Joemat-Peterson was laid to rest in the Northern Cape.
Yes.
Tragic death. So I was listening to Suspended Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane on Talk Radio 702, and she was talking about had this issue of hers been dealt with and expedited fast, Joemat-Peterson would possibly still be alive right now.
Look,
and possibly, hinting at the fact that either she was taken out because of this leak, or she took her own life because of this leak.
It could be either of the two. When Miss Peterson, may her soul rest in peace, story came out, there were rumors that she took her own life, and nobody has come to confirm that. And either way, I tend to incline myself more to the comments of Ms. Mkhwebane. If she didn't die of natural causes, then I agree with Ms. Mkhwebane.
It's linked to this mess.
It's linked to this. It could have been stress. It could have been she's taken out. It was too soon after the allegations came out. It could have taken a lot of stress and pressure on her because it was her whose voice notes, whose cell phone and all that were in the forefront. It's an unfortunate situation that we lose some of the credible and leaders of this country under those circumstances. But the Mkhwebane case, not only for Ms. Peterson, we have lost millions as a country. People are now worried. We are worried if the Public Protector's Office is doing what it's supposed to be doing, or they're spending our millions trying to chase her out and she's trying to protect herself. And again, we should ask ourselves, what is in for the state to can chase Mkhwebane when she's left it 4 months in office?
In fact, she was saying, let me go to work to finish, just to hand over. I don't even have to take on any new cases.
It's too late.
Let me go to work and just hand over to the next person. Can I do that, please? Instead of you guys wasting money chasing after me. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think she is right for the best interest of the state. People are talking about justice. It's more than a year. We haven't seen justice. Remember, this person is not like he's in a criminal case or a civil case in court.
Yeah, it's not about you're going to jail or you're not going to jail.
Or not going to jail. No. It's about her being humiliated.
Are you fired or are you finishing
Are you
your...
fired or are you finishing your term? Actually, I also doubt if fired. Fired is like recalled because you didn't perform your duties properly, or we think you're unfit to hold office. I think it's a wastage of state resources. It is pride that is now leading them to say, and egos, let's finish this case, let's finish it. But the only thing that could happen if she's found not to be fit to hold office is that she will lose her pensions. Or parts of that. That's the only thing.
The benefits.
The benefits, because then you can't continue to benefit when you are found to be wanting. That's the only thing that could happen here. But she will most probably finish her term and receive a 4-month salary and lose her pension if she loses, gain a pension if she... But we have lost millions as a nation. And I think people should stop using emotions when they apply their minds in this instance. It's not like other cases where we find people are appointed without qualifications or they are wrongly appointed. Therefore, they must pay back their money or they must be dismissed. This is not the case. The case here is that the Democratic Alliance stood up and said, we don't think that public protector is fit to control because she's losing many cases, degrees of judgment. But again, the labor law talks of corrective measures. You hired that person as parliament. When she was failing to apply her mind properly, what corrective measures did the presidency and parliament apply to aid her to can perform better? The labor law makes provision for that. We can't say because it is a high profile, then the magic must happen. And so we have CEOs, we have DGs, we have ministers in this country who are failing dismally in performing their duties. And they're not being chased out. They're given chance after chance. Some minister moves from one portfolio to another. Some MC...
They fell through the political career.
Exactly. Now, why would you want to punish? You can see this whole thing was political, and now it has even casualties in inverted commas, and it's a sad state of affairs.
Against what she was advised by Scopa, she went ahead and played some of these voice notes.
Well,
can we talk about that?
I can't remember earlier. I was gonna forget that. I don't remember whether it was Scopa or it was the National Assembly speaker. But nonetheless, either way, it's Parliament.
Yeah, she was advised not to.
Why
but
not?
She did.
She's a public protector. This is a hearing that is held in an open public platform, and that public protector belongs to us as citizens. Does not belong to that Parliament. The Parliament appointed the public protector for us. Now, they have been undressing her in public. What's wrong in her standing up in public and saying, I'm not going to hide anything? The police will do their part, and I will say what I'm allowed to do without interfering with the police work. And I actually think she did the right thing. She owed us. Remember, the public protector and the husband, they kept us...
In fact, initially they said they're screenshots, and then people said, yeah, but the screenshot is a screenshot. And they said, but we also have voice notes.
Yes. Now the audio came.
Now people are saying, but yeah, we don't know the source of the audio. This thing is actually very simple. The meeting supposedly happened at the airport, at an Ocean Basket. Airports have cameras right up your bum.
Absolutely.
So if the meeting happened on Tuesday at 2 p.m., go to footage on the server Tuesday, 2 p.m., and you will see the two sitting together. Surely it's as simple as that. Or am I oversimplifying?
No, you're oversimplifying it. I can tell. They can go and get that info.
Yeah.
Her detractors and the public, they will come and say, yeah, but those were comrades meetings. So what? We're in the same place coincidentally.
And then you zoom in and you read the lips, and then we get a lip reader, and then they'll say, yeah, but that lip reader is compromised.
Exactly. So by the time we get to the end of this, Ms. Mokwebane would have finished her 7-year term.
Sure.
And again, did the meeting take place or not? That should be yes. And look, I think so far she has provided very good material evidence that needs to be tested.
But sadly, the other voice has passed away. And the other names that have been mentioned, there's no proof that they were involved. So how is that a trump card? When all it is two people having a chat, two other names were dropped in, but there's no evidence that the two other names are involved in this.
We don't know yet. We don't know so far as the public. And I can tell you in confidence that other voice recordings that Ms. Mokwebane did not release will have voice notes or voices of the two other people or one of the two people. And that's why she couldn't pick, because they are not yet charged. It's not yet, and it is evidence that the police must test. And she held it back strategically.
So hold up. So you're saying, wait, there's more.
Look, she did say that there's more coming. I'm just giving you a little of what I have.
Yeah.
And the little we get is already giving us a direction of where is it going. But she's very smart. She's not going to compromise a case that is, under predicate, that she releases info. And once that info is in the public place, it will not be used by the police, to question. And I heard legal experts were saying, oh, by the way, those people did not know they were being recorded.
Sure.
And therefore, that information is not admissible in court. We are not in court. We are not talking about criminal charges. The police and the Hawks will handle that. But what is important for the nation is we are now clear that such discussions, engagements, and happenings are happening. That's what is important.
Therefore, the process is tainted.
The process is tainted, and that's what she has been saying. The police will decide whether the material evidence presented in front of them can be used in court or not. With the NPA, they will decide.
Yeah.
And that's not in the national interest. What is of national interest at the moment? It's the National Assembly, that committee, and the alleged involved people can say, that's my voice, I don't want anything worse than this. I will step down now. I will not wait for this thing to get dated. And save my face.
And there's enough of a lead now for there to be a thorough investigation. There's enough of a lead.
It's more than enough.
Yeah.
It's more than enough. And people are saying people should not step down through allegations. Let me tell you what happened in South Africa.
Sure.
A current Chief Justice, when he was the Deputy Chief Justice, he chaired the Zondo Commission that costed us over R1 billion, okay? In one of the findings of the Zondo Commission, it was the 600 million allegation that former Minister ABC Jonas had said one of the Gupta brothers.
He was offered that.
Offered 600 million.
Yeah.
The Chief Justice of this country came to a conclusion that allegation, there must be prosecution. Actually, if you read the Zondo Commission, the Chief Justice or the chairperson of the Zondo Commission said that Gupta brother must be charged for trying to bribe Mr. Jonas. And it's based on what? On what Jonas said.
On hearsay.
Yes,
on hearsay.
Nothing. There was no material evidence. The other evidence that was there is that Jonas was, according to his cell phone record, was in the Gupta's house at that time.
At the sectional Shabir.
There was no
no further evidence.
No further evidence.
Yes.
And the Chief Justice of the country said that is holding water and they must be prosecuted. We are not here to defend the Gupta brothers. We don't care where they are. But we are saying a precedent has been set. We spent billion. Now we have just spent a couple of hundreds of millions for Suem Kobani to be charged. And when there's material evidence, we want to say it's hearsay. That's no longer hearsay.
Sure.
We said it last week. There is a material witness, which is, in this case, Miss or Advocate Mkobani's husband. He's a material. It's not hearsay. He was there. You understand? So you can't say it's a hearsay. He was there.
Sure.
The other party, sadly, is no longer alive, but that's where the recorded information, the illegally recorded information, would have sustained, and those are some of the things we should look into when we deal with these cases and decide whether the public is being owed that or not.
Sure. Let's talk about qualifications and misrepresentation of qualifications. I thought it was a criminal offense to lie about your qualifications.
It is.
Why are our people not learning, though? Why do people continue to misrepresent their qualifications, continue to lie, continue to buy qualifications? I mean, there's the Fort Hare qualification scandal currently. JRA CEO has failed to prove that he has any engineering qualification.
There's UP as well that has come up.
The Johannesburg mayor, contrary to the party of Al Jamaa, I mean the leader of Al Jamaa, saying that he's got a diploma, a business diploma, he says no, he's got a junior certificate qualification that allows him to get into a TVET college, but he dropped out in grade 10. But
who are the people who are lying? Just look at who are the people who are lying.
Yeah.
The world's greatest lies is politicians or political appointees. A normal person who has matric will say, I've got matric, but I can perform this job.
Sure.
And it is because, number one, they are politically appointed. Number two, they think their political connections will protect them. It will protect them to a certain stage. There's quite a number. The Minister of Public Service and Administration came up and said recently, majority of senior people in government entities and government departments do not have qualifications for those jobs. And let me tell you, how does it happen? It happens because there's no process of vetting of people. And vetting is not only checking the security clearance of a person, it's one of the processes that an organization or government is supposed to embark on. People must go through normal HR processes. Now, Luthuli House or EFF House or DA House, they deploy their people, they send them in. And because they send them in during the time of political, debates and squabbles and placement, then they don't check these people's qualifications. So the normal HR processes of saying to a person, bring your originals or certified copies, test those qualifications against the institutions they claim to have graduated from. It is not happening in this country. And that's why we see that state entities and municipalities, they fail, they collapse. And we wonder what is going on when we've got fake engineers, fake CEOs, fake accountants sitting in those credible positions. And it is because we are not doing due diligence, we are not following due process to can appoint this, but also there are also unethical people. To lie about your qualifications and what you have to get a job, you are unethical. And how do we expect an unethical person to can run and lead an organization when you don't have morals, you don't have ethics? Your level of fiber, your fiber of moral is very low in that instance. And you must see what they do. These ones who lied about their qualifications, when they get into those positions, they start paging people with qualifications. They start fighting and differing with people who are qualified to do the jobs. Why? It's because they can't cope with qualified people.
Or you're going to chase out, you're gonna get rid of or constructively fire people are going to see through your BS.
Exactly.
Because they are qualified.
Exactly. If I've got matric only and I'm appointed by my political party to be a CEO of an organization, and then I found that actually the chartered accountant or the CFO of the organization is a chartered accountant, and this person will keep on telling me we can't do this way, we can't do this way. Actually, they will see through me that something is wrong with this thing. And what do people do? They start digging, they start searching. Who is this person? Where does this person come from? But the public service is faced with a challenge, and the sooner the Minister of Public Service and Administration and the Hawks and everybody else who's invited, and the institutions must come into for. If somebody is appointed in a higher position and says, I'm a graduate from University of Witwatersrand, VET must be able to say, as an institution of credibility, must be able to say the CEO of this state entity did not, or yes, he did graduate, also to be proud of their graduates. You understand? This institution must come out
and to call out those that lie in the name of the institution.
Exactly. You can expose them, but that is not happening. Everybody's captured in this country. The judiciary, the heads of public institutions, the heads of universities. It's a total chaos. The premier at the moment this week that we just came out of, the premier of the Eastern Cape, who challenged the president in court, the SIU has come out now and say, actually, it is not only his master's that is in question. He registered for a master's degree as well as a doctorate at the same time. At the same time.
He's a very intelligent man. What's the problem?
Well, does the system allow you to do that? And by the way, he doesn't have a junior degree, which is acceptable. Prior learning can be acceptable. Yes. You can be credited to
your work experience also counts for something. Yes,
it is an acceptable practice. We should not put a blind eye on it. But I want to register for my master's and doctorate at the same time in one, academic year.
Has anyone stopped you?
And also, they don't even have, the face and the moral. You still go to court and you want to defend your wrongdoing instead of accepting your wrong and you move on.
Isn't half the problem the fact that often a lot of these things happen, but there's zero consequences? And because there's zero consequences, nobody learns. Because there's no lesson, there's no deterrence at all.
Exactly.
Isn't that the problem?
That is exactly the problem. Nobody gets jailed. Nobody loses their income they illegally earned. Because if I say I've got a master's degree and I become a CEO and they found that I have matric, all the monies and the decisions I made while I was the CEO, there must be repercussions. You understand? And this has been happening for long. We know with Dr. Alan Dusak, we know with Dr. Jordaan, we know it has happened a lot in this country where people with fake qualifications, as recent as the passing week. At the beginning of this week, the Department of Health came out and said that there are thousands of foreign national doctors who are operating. One of them, I was so scared, is operating in a hospital in Limpopo as a dentist. Now imagine and the two dentists dealing with your teeth and so forth. And it's happening in front of our politicians and where the
but
systems.
I don't need a piece of paper to remove teeth. I just need the pliers. And maybe some sanitizer. Like, where must I go to school?
And that's the country we are. That's why our graduates are unemployed.
Yeah.
And that's why they are being closed out. It is because those without qualification are at the helm of state institutions. Now, our youth with qualifications, I was very proud. I used to tell people that 3 or 4 of my team members at work who were my juniors, they were more qualified than me. I may have experienced more than them, but these youngsters, they study, they do their honors, their masters and all that. Now imagine if I was a horrible leader and I would have suppressed those people because I'm lazy to study or I don't have brains to can study. And that's the challenge. It must come out of us. Corruption, it starts in your heart before it goes to public. It must come out of our hearts that political office bearers, some are fortunate, they get politically appointed. They don't apply, they don't go through what normal citizens go through. Once you're in an opportunity like that, you've been in government, you've got bursaries, you've got opportunities, you don't have enough time to can study. Why don't they study? Why don't they improve? Most of my qualifications, for example, I've been in government for over 25 years. Most of my qualifications, I got them when I was in the public.
On the job, yes.
You understand? I realized that, no, these youngsters, I will not cope. But not only to compete with your subordinates, to be able to acclimatize with the changing circumstances.
You should also want to improve yourself. As a human being at a very basic level, you must want to be a better human being today than you were a year ago.
But Fresh, if you get everything, people call it the spoon-fed way. If you get everything in your life the wrong way, you get so much used to benefiting out of the wrong.
It's the way of life.
You start thinking, being a liar, being a thug, being corrupt, it's normal. So we have become a nation that normalizes the abnormality in the society. It's okay to can bribe somebody to get attention.
Cold drinking.
Now we don't compete anymore. And that's the situation we're sitting with. Like I said, I've made an example of people who were moved from CEO of this entity. He becomes a CFO there. He becomes a DG. He becomes an MEC and all that. And they fail everywhere. One of my sources told me in international relations this week that our former minister of arts and culture, Natim Tetwa. I may be breaking the news, but I don't care. He has been appointed or nominated now to go and be our ambassador in France. Okay?
Oh, wow.
I'm not taking anything away from Natim Tetwa, but I know that Natim Tetwa failed dismally as the Minister of Arts and Culture. Now, what is France? France is actually the European capital of arts and culture.
Yes.
You take somebody that failed in arts and culture portfolio and is going to be an ambassador to France as the minister of this country, representing us where he's supposed to go and sell. How does that work in this country? But you know why? Ministers don't fail. There's no failure. That's why they can move them around and change positions, because we don't see where they fail.
They're not held to a standard.
They're not held to a standard. And there is no accountability in this country. I see politicians go to parliament. Sorry for taking this long. They go to parliament, they face SCOPA. Or any other portfolio committee. Then they explain their mess. And this is what we should teach politicians. Explaining your failures, your mess, your maladministration, it's not accountability. They go there and they say...
Accountability is saying, I failed, I'm going to resign. That's accountability.
Exactly. Or I'll pay back the money or anything. But going to parliament and explaining why you drained the resources of an organization, why you unfairly dismissed people, why you exploited the resources of an organization, it is not accountability.
Saying I'm sorry is not accountability.
No, it's not accountability. Or the Auditor General comes and say, majority of municipalities in this country are failing.
They're dysfunctional.
They're dysfunctional. And the government says these municipal managers and CFOs and mayors, they will go back and they will improve. By the time they improve, they are out of that office. Understand? So to go
and suffer the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at Joburg, look at Tshwane. Everywhere it's chaos. It is because of maladministration and corruption and failure, the lack of accountability in the country.
Sure.
I don't know when are we going to see a CEO or an MEC or an MP coming out of SCOPA and the hawks are standing outside, and they must cover that person, put him to jail to say, you claim to be a CEO or CFO, you have failed, you have squandered money, you stole money, let's go and face prosecution. You understand? Or you earned this money, you didn't deliver. pay back their money. These people must pay back these big salaries they are getting if they are found to be wanted. That's the direction we should be following.
One of the big stories this week, Botsang, former Premier Leaguer, former ANC Secretary General, that without consulting anyone else, decided he's going to suspend President Ramaphosa from the ANC. He was told, you must apologize. He didn't apologize. Then he was told, you must give us reasons why you must not be expelled from the ANC. He still hasn't done that. Has Magashula run out of aces to play? Is this end of the road for him?
I had forgotten the term Premier League. and when I look at it, almost all the so-called former Premier League members,
Yes.
If there was a Premier League, are out of the system at the moment. I don't know who's still left. But I don't think Ace Magashula has run out of aces. I think he is old and he has been in politics for too long. That's number one. So age is against him.
Sure.
But I also think he had given up. I've sat down. I didn't expect him to respond. When people said,
Okay, so is he right on brand?
he says, look, Fresh, if you're being taken to a slaughterhouse and you know what happens in the slaughterhouse, why are you still rattling and fighting and pulling strings? I think Ace Magashula knew that his days are numbered. He knew that the current ANC DC is going to expel him, even if he would have responded. Remember what had happened. When he was charged, he was asked to make representations. So normally, the things that you put in a dispute as your representations, you will use them as your factors at the end of the case to say, guys, I've already said that was not my intention, and therefore I may not say I'm sorry. You know, you don't say sorry in politicians. You will look like an underdog and a puppet. But I think him neglecting and refusing to respond, he knew the writing was on the wall. He was going to be expelled. But I think he's got a new political home. I think Mr. Magashula is going to announce. He has issued a statement to say he will respond and talk to the public next week, the week we will be getting into. I think.
What can we expect from him?
I think he's going to announce his new political home. I've said before, the ANC is being broken down into pieces. It's being, chowed down a wild dog approach. You know, when the wild dog approaches a buffalo, an element, they eat it piece by piece as it is running. So all these mushrooming political parties are weakening the ANC. There is Remto that is being led by Karl Niehaus, and Ace hasn't associated himself with them. He has been quiet. He has never said anything. He has never said...
But they're very RET.
Yeah, they come from the same group of radical economic forces within the ANC. It will not surprise me that Ace Magashula will come as the Remto leader, or he will announce a new political formation that will actually rattle the ANC in the Free State. He still has a big support in the Free State, and he may cause harm. But remember also, the issue of race and background, it holds water. Ace Magashula at the moment has no wrongdoing that has been judged against in the past, and he was found guilty. At the moment, there's allegations. He will be better positioned to can be the leader of Remto. I'm not taking anything from Karl Niehaus, but if you want to go and win black support, and I don't see Karl Niehaus as a white person in a sense of racist white person.
Still a comrade.
Yeah, he's a comrade. I think Ace will be better positioned to can lead that organization. But
Then to start a new one.
But look, these people have money. To start a political party, you need a lot of money. They have grassroots support. And the little you make in the votes you get makes the difference.
Ace was very popular in the Free State when he was popular in the Free State. Very powerful also.
Yeah.
But nationally, was there any movement?
No. I think it was during the time of the RDO. Remember, he got into the Secretary General position by the whisk, at the time. That's very true.
Only just made it.
Yes. He just made it.
Yeah.
In the Free State, no doubt about it. He has been very popular. We would recall as South Africans that Ace Magashula was the longest serving chairperson and premier that this country has ever had. Nobody has a track record that compares to him. He was the longest. He was the head of the ANC in the Free State. since Gerald Kota left and Magashula took over, there was never turning back. So we should not undermine that. And the people of Free State, I can tell you, the majority of the people in the Free State are saying the AIDS government has delivered for them. They've got their own failures, but again, he was already contesting on national politics, so we can't reduce him only to a regional or provincial politics. But it's a wait and see situation. Let's wait for next week and see what announcement will come. But I see political parties mushrooming worse than ever before. I see these parties being a breakaways from the ruling party. The DA with Action SA and the new one that was formed by the former leader in Gauteng, they've got their own challenges, but it's very minimal. The impact is very minimal than the ANC.
What are the chances of the RET faction within the ANC breaking away and forming their own thing?
Look, they've already, broke away. They've already formed. They've registered, by the way.
But many still remain within the party.
Yeah, well, I think their vote is going to count. It's the same as the way COPE happened. A lot of ANC members, when COPE was formed, they stood backwards to watch what was going on. And COPE's first contestation of politics, it made a huge impact on the ruling party.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to look at the vote. I can tell you now, the votes of a lot of ANC members who align themselves with the RET faction. They are going, when they go into elections, they are going to vote with, RET. Not to say it will win outright, but to weaken the ANC. And I said, the sad part with the ANC is that everybody wants to weaken it. The opposition, the business, itself, the ANC itself, it's eating itself. So everybody's against this gigantic former liberation movement. So I think a lot of faction of RET in the ANC, they are going to vote for it, or for even opposition, parties, in order for Cyril Ramaphosa not to become victorious the next round. And that's where the problem is. They don't believe in their own leader. And it's a challenge for an organization whereby the followers and the members have lost hope on the leader of the organization and the current cabinet or administration. But I think we should one day sit down and talk about what's going to happen in the elections when they are finished, destroying each other, forming new political parties. I know there's a term or time frame that the IEC puts on the registration. And once that time frame is done, we'll start getting a clearer picture of where this country is heading to.
Neck on the line, ANC 50% or less than 50%?
I'm putting my neck on the line. And again, this is not what you call it, a factual information.
Yes.
It's based on what I'm observing happening. I doubt if the ANC will get 50% in the next elections. I doubt. And I said to you, politics are influenced by business. Business already is anti the ANC. They've pronounced they want Ramaphosa out. By the time they win that battle and bring their person in whom they don't have at the moment, understand? By the time they do that, it will be too late. We'll already be in the election period.
Sure. Let's talk geopolitics in wrapping. We are running out of time. Macron of France wants to attend the Brics Summit. Why?
Who has the French? Our viewers must remember something.
Yeah.
The French were the worst colonizers. And they're the only ones who are remaining in Africa, still influencing African states, trading with francs, running their economy. I would not trust the French. But I think the French have also historically became the international spies and good ones in infiltration and tearing up governments. The Macron wants to go to the Brics event as a guest, as an observer. But why? The reason is it's clearly
he can watch
to go
on
and
TV.
gather the facts, to influence. They will bring a jet full of money and start bribing those, 12 new member states that are coming in.
So you don't trust them?
I don't trust them. They will destroy this whole thing. How is Macron going to sit in a Brics Summit that is deputized because Russia is taking over next year, so Russia is deputizing South Africa? He's going to sit there with Putin while he's supplying arms to Ukraine that are bombing the Russians. How is that possible? That's not possible.
How is that not awkward?
Very awkward, you understand? So I think Brics must reject and say, no, we'll focus on those who have applied, and we don't want individual member states. If France thinks Brics is a nice model that we're interested in, let them apply, let them go through the same process as the other countries have gone through. But I think it will be unwise for Brics to allow Macron to be there. No, a lot of bribery. France is known for bribing. France is known for, dislocating and where there's peace process. France is known to be disruptive, and I don't think they should allow him there.
Zelensky to receive African leader delegation.
Your brothers.
Let's talk about that. The peace bringers.
Yes.
That
Zelensky's 10.
That can't negotiate peace on the continent.
Yes. On Thursday, President Ramaphosa finishing up in the ILO. He will join his brothers to go and have, over the weekend we are sitting in, to go and have dinners and lunches with Zelensky for the peace process. We spoke about it previously. I don't think it will bear much fruit. Africans are suffering because of that war, because we are dependent on international trade. But I don't think it will bear fruits. We are sitting with a problem in South Sudan. We are sitting in North Sudan. We are sitting with a problem in the DRC. DRC still. And it has gotten worse this past week. Even the United Nations has come up and said, guys, what is happening in the DRC? You see now, the worst is happening in the DRC. Rape, murder, and war crimes. But we don't see and talk about it because the world is focusing on the Russia-Ukraine war and NATO involved. But I don't think this will bear fruits. Let's wait until they return home and tell Africans that we as Africans, we have stopped the war in Russia. Trust me, I'll be the first one to come to any platform, especially this one, and say well done to the 6 African leaders.
Quickly, Western Cape sending a delegation to the US to talk AGOA.
Highly and very highly undiplomatic. I do not know how did the central government, the national government, allow the Western Cape to send a delegation to go and talk about. It's a bilateral.
Can they stop them?
Oh, they can stop them because, for example, you see, the Western Cape Premier became very smart. For the Premier to travel, the President has to authorize. So he did not do it. He sent a delegation that needs to be approved by the Premier. You can be there. But for the U.S., I think it's also undiplomatic for the U.S. to accept to speak to a provincial or, in their terms, a regional government while we have a national one. The government announced last week that they are sending the Minister of Trade and Industry to the USA to engage the U.S. trade around AGOA. Now the Western Cape quickly rushes and sends a delegation to do that. There is nothing wrong, and I must say it, there is nothing wrong in a municipality or a regional government, provincial government to send a delegation overseas to engage on multilateral forums. There's nothing wrong with that. It does happen. You can have a summit like now. Gauteng had sent a delegation to can attend an urbanization forum in Brussels in the past. You understand? It does happen, but you can hear what is it.
But it's not
urbanization.
But it's not
national
bilateral agreements. Yes.
This AGOA, it's a bilateral agreement. We are supposed to be hosting the AGOA summit very soon, and then the Western Cape just becomes chachara and jump into the bandwagon. The national government should have not accepted that. We have an embassy in the USA. We have trade and industry. We have at least 3 consuls in the US who could be handling this. So I think the Democratic Alliance, being the leaders of the Western Cape, they again have outclassed the national government and performed duties that were supposed to be performed by DERCO and Trade and Industry. It is very clumsy. It is not good looking in the eyes of the country. But somebody would say, if there's a problem and the national government is sleeping, why wouldn't one of the provinces jump into the bandwagon? Somebody would say that. I'm saying it is not correct. It is undiplomatic, and it's also risky because we don't know what will the provincial authorities of the Western Cape say, knowing that the DA in the Western Cape, they are against the relationship with Russia. They pronounce on that. Understand? And this AGOA thing was brought in by what? Or crisis was brought in by our relationship with Russia. Now, a provincial government that is anti-Russia or anti-Putin stands up and go and engage on a bilateral economic trade agreement. I think
it's problematic.
It's very problematic.
Botsang, we are out of time, but as always, thank you very much for breaking it down so that we can all understand it. Where do we find you on social media? Where do we buy your book?
Social media, the handles does not change. It's at Botsang M on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. It's Botsang Moiloa. And they can email me on botsangm@gmail.com or send a WhatsApp to 083 884 7787. And we deliver the book free in Gauteng.
Okay.
For delivery within 24 hours. And if you are outside Gauteng, you will cover the cost of, I think it's about 100 rands for the delivery fee of in 48 hours to all other provinces.
Who dressed me today?
Oh, by the way, Stash Clothing stand you into to dress DJ Fresh. I'm very jealous to the viewers.
Thank you very much, Star.
I think my shirt didn't come on time, and Skumba told me to stop wearing jackets, and it's cold. Listening to Skumba, but you look beautiful, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Stash Clothing made this shirt for
So where do we find her on social media?
I think she will come and answer that for herself in one of the shows. This is my political platform.
We shall interview her.
And let those who make nice clothes. I'm jealous, you are wearing a nice shirt and I'm not, so I'm not going. She'll come and talk for herself.
Thank you very much. Shout out to every single one of you that has been commenting on the comments. Please remember to subscribe. We are done politricking with Botsang Moiloa. Shout out to AM Studios for housing us. The Africa Podcast Network, this is our home. You can actually email us on waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Shout out to Pezulu Works for the cinematography and our imaging. Shout out to Otis the Flo Fraser and to the show producers and creative Keletso Modisakeng and Kuvesh Mohan. We are out of here. We're back again in a week. Have a great PoliTricks week in spite of yourselves.
Good.
Good.